We have Dynamax Raikou making its debut in Pokemon Go, which is very exciting, including for me because I absolutely love Raikou. And it being in a Dynamax shiny form makes it even more enticing, especially because Dynamax aren't quite as challenging, at least in the slightest, as the Gigantamax raids are. But in this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know about the event leading up to this Dynamax Raikou, as well as the tips, the counters, 100% IVs, and more. So welcome to the Trader Club. Here we go. The Dynamax Raikou event is going down on the 15th and 16th, which is going to be this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, from 6 a.m. all the way until the Dynamax closes at 9 p.m. on Sunday. So you have 2 total days to be able to get this. So you are going to want to make sure that you do at least do a few of them, at least one if you can help it, but you are going to have the capacity to do more. So in this event leading up this week, no way, bro. And through the entire weekend, we are looking at something cool. First time we've ever seen this. It's going to be a 75% cost of what it will take to unlock the max moves. So what I mean by that, if it is going to be 800, now it's going to be 600. Okay, so it's not a ton, but it is a little bit helpful. So I think that the leveling up of the moves, especially the XL candy for specific Pokemon, is a little bit extensive and over the top. You guys hear me talk about this. You hear me talk about everything that's on my mind because I want to make sure that we're transparent when we're talking about Pokemon Go. Some things I support, some things I don't. I do love the Dynamax and the Gigantamax system. It just is Gigantamax a little bit challenging. The unlocking, especially for things like Toxtricity, becomes a little bit challenging when you need 50 XL candy to unlock the level 3 move on that Pokemon. But besides that, during the weekend, we're gonna have some cool bonuses as well. We can collect up to 1,600 particles per day, which means we'll be able to do 2 free Dynamax. However, I'm also gonna put into here that if you collect beforehand, which would be awesome, you are able to get another one. So what I mean by that, if you go and collect on Friday and don't spend, go into Saturday with 800, you can do 1 before you collect, which then would be 2, and then you can collect again, which would be 3. So you have a grand total of 3 of them going on, which is great for you guys. Not only that, you're going to get 8 times collection every time you go to a power spot, meaning that once you collect from one power spot, it will power you up to be able to do a raid. And the power spots will refresh more frequently. So does that look like every 30 minutes or 15 minutes? I'm pretty sure it's going to be the 30 minutes, but we'll see what happens. So this is going to be the setup for this event. Obviously, the Raikou is making its debut and the shiny will be with it as well. And maybe some of you guys haven't started doing Dynamax or Gigantamax, and I get it. You're like, why do I have to do all this stuff again? And I totally understand. But here's the thing, guys, is that the rewards coming from these battles are amazing. So even in the Dynamax Legendaries, I do believe that it's at 10 or maybe it's 15,000. It's one of the 2 Stardust every single time you complete one. So adding with a star piece, it adds up extremely fast and it doesn't take as long as the Gigantamax. And the Gigantamax is 25,000 Stardust. So these things are worth your time, energy, and effort in this game. In leading up to this event, if you guys have not seen in the research, you guys can check this out now. There is going to be collect 500 max particles for a Dynamax Drillbur encounter, win a max battle for 50 Drillbur candy, win 3 max battles for 3 TMs, you're going to catch 5 max Pokemon for 300, level up max move 3 times for 300, and unlock a max move for another 300. Power up a Pokemon 5 times is going to give you 25 Drillbur candy, power up a Pokemon 10 times for 10 XL Drillbur candy, and then we will get 7,500 Stardust and 500 max particles. So if we look at this, guys, this is a little bit of a kickstart. It is not much, but you do get a Dynamax Drillbur, and that is going to be the most effective counter against the Raikou because it's electric. It's only weak to one thing, which is going to be ground. And then it also resists electric, flying, as well as steel. Just in case you guys are thinking about bringing some of those Pokemon into the battle, such as Metagross, with a steel move, it's not going to be effective. And the 100% IV for Raikou will be 1972 when catching it, or I honestly, off the top of my head, cannot remember if these Pokemon get weather boosted. I don't believe they do, but if they do, in rainy weather, it will get a weather boost and it will go to level 25 at 2466, which then leads us into our top counters. So number 1, can you guess it? There's a research about it. It's going to be Excadrill. Excadrill makes this better. It's the only Pokemon out there that is going to be able to deliver what it delivers. So it's going to have a fast move that's going to be ground because it's a Dynamax Pokemon. So it has to have Mud Shot in order to make it the most effective. So TM it, that's why we're getting fast TMs in the research, because you have to get it to Excadrill, and then you're going to have to make sure it does have Mud Shot, because once it Dynamaxes, whatever the fast move on that Dynamax Pokemon will influence the charge move of that Dynamax Pokemon. However, what will not happen is for the Gigantamax to change over. Gigantamax are set moves already determined, but Dynamax can change depending on the fast moves. So that's why it's most important. And this is the only super effective counter that we do have. And some of you guys may be like, well, Gigantamax Toxtricity, while that's true, it has an electric move that is not going to change into a ground move. And then also your Excadrill does want to have Scorching Sands. Reason being, some of you guys may be like, well, we're not even going to attack with it. Well, for the Gigantamax system, that is true. Let's imagine this scenario where you just got out of the Dynamax with your team, and then you're going to have maybe 1/16 of the health left on that Raikou. You can all use your ground moves coming from the Excadrill, and you will be able to take that Pokemon out. For the Gigantamax system, not even close. But for the Dynamax system, we've done it multiple times where we've had all of our specials saved up from getting through, and then we just spammed our specials at the end, and we were able to take a Pokemon down without having to Dynamax another time. And some of the other counters are going to be Gigantamax Venusaur with Vine Whip, Gengar Gigantamax with Lick, Charizard Gigantamax with Fire Spin, Rillaboom Dynamax with Razor Leaf, and Greedent Dynamax with Mud Shot. There is going to be something in a couple asterisks that I put on some of these Pokemon. Gigantamax Venusaur gets the A-OK. However, the fast moves on this Pokemon are going to be Thunder Shock and Volt Switch, and the charge moves are going to be Thunder, Wild Charge, Thunderbolt, and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is going to hit Gengar extremely hard because it's a Ghost type. Against the Ghost type, it is going to be weak to that. So the one thing, if you are using a Gigantamax Gengar, what you can do is you can quit from this raid, remember, and go back in, and it will re-roll the moves. And if it does get Shadow Ball again, dip out and come back. That is the best way to be able to make sure that you are fighting a Pokemon with the appropriate moves. And let's say that you didn't even want to do that raid. Remember that also in the Gigantamax Dynamax system, that if you don't complete that raid, you get the particles back. You don't leave them in there like the previous raid pass system, that's still active obviously. Once you enter that raid pass, it's stuck in there. So you can either refight that Pokemon or leave it and you do not get that back. So the asterisks are going to be Charizard is going to be weak to electric because of its flying type, and then Gengar for the Shadow Ball. So those two I wouldn't suggest using. All the rest are cool. My top favorite obviously is Excadrill. I have 2 level 50 Excadrills that I'm going to use. And it's also ground typing, so it's going to be double resistant to all electric moves, which makes it extremely effective in the attacker, the defense, the shielding, and also the stamina healing category. Okay, so what you guys want to do, what I've seen, if you guys have strong enough counters, meaning that you have at least 4 people in, because you can only do them in groups of 4, and they all have level 40 at least Excadrills, and they're all appropriately typed, is all you do is you just power through this Pokemon. How do you do that? Just attack every time. Don't worry about shielding and don't worry about healing. Just attack, and it's going to make it go down quick, fast, easy, efficient. Once you start healing and shielding, then everybody starts getting hit a little bit more. It takes a little bit longer to take this Pokemon down. That's what we noticed when we were doing these Zapdos, the Moltres, and Articuno. The fastest way and easiest, most efficient way was to just straight attack it, especially when we all had level 40 and all the way up to level 50 Gigantamax and Dynamax that did work out well. And since this scenario is going to be the Dynamax Excadrill, it's going to work out perfect. And some of you guys may be like, well, I don't really have a good one. Well, here's how I'm viewing this Dynamax and Gigantamax system. Since Gigantamax is even harder to obtain, and Dynamax is not something that I'm looking to overly spend on. What I plan to do, and what I have done, is I trade these Pokemon. If it's a Gigantamax, it's going to be a special trade, and then I power it up to level 40. Because it's only going to cost approximately 120,000 Stardust, and that is very cheap for the entry level into this game. So then I don't really have to care that much about my Pokemon. I don't have to worry about the IVs. Remember, I did do a video a long time ago about IVs. If you want to see it, check it out up here, because the IV stats that we're so concerned about are on top of the base stats. right? So it's not even the most impactful part of the game. We're just adding 15 on top of all of the base stats, which means that they already, if we're talking about Mewtwo, has a base stat of 300 attack. So if it has a 0 attack, which it never will coming from a raid, it would be still at a 300. It's not like it's going to be an attack value of 0. So always remember that, and always use the lucky trade system to be able to help you enter into this Dynamax Gigantamax at a much easier and cheaper way. And then eventually, if you get a good one, go for it. Power that thing up all the way to level 50 and do it like that. But there is easier ways to get in to participate because level 40 counters are still extremely strong. So then if we want to look at the best defenders, look what we have here: Excadrill, Dynamax, Mudshot, Ground, Venusaur, Vine Whip, Grass. Then we're going to get Toxtricity, Gigantamax, Spark as Electric, Rillaboom, Dynamax, Razor Leaf. Then we have the Venusaur, Dynamax, Vine Whip, and the Metagross Zen Headbutt for the Dynamax. Which then leads to our best healers. The best healers are going to be Excadrill Dynamax with Mudshot, Greedent Dynamax with Tackle, Rillaboom Dynamax with Scratch, Venusaur Gigantamax with Vine Whip, Venusaur Dynamax with Vine Whip, and Metagross Dynamax with Zen Headbutt. So it's pretty easy, self-explanatory. Excadrill is the number one. Venusaur is going to be, and grass types are going to be resisting that electricity. However, the one thing I'm also going to mention in here as well is that eventually there will be a Gigantamax Rillaboom. So while yes, you can lucky trade it, you can even get a whole bunch of the Dynamax Grookey's and trade them and eventually get a lucky one, which is also an effective strategy. Powering up to level 50 is something I wouldn't recommend because the Gigantamax will be stronger, similar to as the Venusaur in the Dynamax is not as strong as the Gigantamax one. And that is just how the game is played. So I might be doing actually a Gigantamax Venusaur trade hopefully before this weekend so that I can have another counter in there. But for what my team will look like, I have 2 level 50 Excadrills. When I did that 100 Gigantamax Toxtricity with Daxi in Ottawa, you can check that video out up here. It was a great time. And then as my third Pokemon, I will probably put in my level 50 Metagross. Okay, so that's gonna do it, guys. Good luck out there. Get your 100% IV Dynamax Raikou. If you do get it, or if you get a Shundo, please tag me on Twitter. This is one of my favorite Pokemon in the game. Thank you guys as always for being here. I love and appreciate you guys. To all of my likers, commenters, subscribers, Patreon members, everybody takes your support, subscription, and participation to XL. I'm gonna see you guys out in the next video. Peace.
I want to take this time to thank everybody who supports me in every facet. It means the world to me, and an extra special thank you to all my Patreons. I greatly appreciate the extra support to continue to allow me to pursue Pokemon Go full time, allowing me to create my daily video uploads in the most timely fashion for everyone's benefit. Plus, I get the amazing experience of sharing my creative processes behind the scenes and raiding all around the globe with select upper tiers. Thank you everybody for being a part of the Trainer Club. You all mean the absolute world to me, and I will see you guys out on the next video.